I'm really busy. I don't have time to cook. I really don't like cleaning up after it. I don't have time. I don't know how to shop for ingredients and then use all of those ingredients in their lifespan. And I just don't want to clean up afterwards.
I have some great ideas about 4 meals that you can make that are going to taste great. And it's going to take less time to make all 4 meals. And there's going to be less cleanup time because you're going to cook the chicken sandwich first. The chicken you have left over from that will make the base of the next 3 meals. Start with a party. We're going to have one of our friends over or one of our roommates. We're going to make a chicken sandwich. And when we make this chicken sandwich, we're going to have chicken left over to make a couple of meals the next couple of days. You're going to end up having food. You're going to have fun with your friends. You're going to learn something new. Here is the grocery list and get a screenshot of it. Now you're going to take your friend to the grocery store with this list, and you can make a treasure hunt of this. You can either shop together or you can split the list and race each other. Now another time saver, you could use the Walmart grocery app. Then you would type in all of your ingredients and someone that works at the store will pick out all of those ingredients for you and meet you at the designated time, and you just drive up to the store and they'll bring your groceries right out to your car. It's a great time saver. Now, when I type these ingredients into that Walmart grocery store app, all of these ingredients plus a cheese grater, in case you needed a cheese grater to grate your own cheese, they all came up to less than $40. And this whole list made 4 meals for 2 of us. And then we had some extra things left over, like the spices and the condiments. Now let's get started making the chicken sandwich, and you'll have some of that great chicken left over for 3 other meals. Before you cut the chicken, you want to cut all of your other items. This is the bread I'm using for the chicken sandwich. So I'm just going to cut about this much of the bread, and then that will be ready to go when the chicken is done. Now I recommend for your sandwich that you buy a big tomato, but I have hundreds of these coming off the vine in the garden, so I'm going to use these. Make a couple of slices for your sandwich. I'll cut a couple of these in half. I'll be using onion on my sandwich, so I need 1 slice of that for that. I'll probably also use some for my quesadilla. So I'll go ahead and slice that. And those I'm going to want diced up. So I'll just go ahead and get that done and then get those into a container. Now we won't actually be using the red pepper today, but I'm going to go ahead and get it cut up so it's ready to go when on the day I need it. I'm going to use some red pepper slices on the side of the quesadilla, and then I'll use some diced red pepper when I make the ramen. I'll use that on the side of my quesadilla, and then I don't need much for the ramen. So I'll put these in a bag and have them ready for the next time I need them. For my sandwich, I just need 1 piece of lettuce for the sandwich. The reason you're cutting your chicken last is very important. You don't want to have raw chicken on the surfaces where you're cutting your vegetables or your bread. You want to just do your chicken last and wash your hands and the surfaces after. Now, I buy fairly large chicken breasts, and that's why we're going to cut them in half. If you buy smaller breasts, you may have to buy more than 3, but I can get quite a few meals out of 3 chicken breasts. So I take the breast, and just be very careful. Rest your hand on top and try to cut about halfway through, so that both pieces are about the same thickness. Now when you see extras like that, cut that off of there. So at the end of this, we're going to have 6 pieces that are fairly similar in thickness. Right now I can tell you my pieces are not similar in thickness, so that's going to happen to you too. Just do the best you can, and the thinner ones we can cook a little less than what we cook the thicker ones. If you have pieces like this, you can go ahead and cut those off of there. It's all a learning process. But we just all do the best we can. I'd rather cut a couple of pieces a little thicker than cut through my fingers. Now that one turned out pretty even, but you know. So now what I'm going to do is sprinkle a little lemon pepper, hit both sides. Now I'm going to let those sit for a bit while I get the oil warmed up in the pan. But first I'm going to wash my hands, clean off this raw chicken from my hands, and I'll meet you over at the stove. Now I've set the burner to just between medium and high, just right at the edge there. And I usually just run my hand over the pan, feel some heat coming off. And I take some olive oil. One thing that was always tricky for me was knowing when it was warm enough to put my meat in there. And one of the things with oil is usually it will shimmer just a little bit, but I like to get it all over the pan, and then you'll see a little bit of shimmer in the oil. I'm feeling some pretty good heat, and I can see a little bit of shimmer in the oil, so now if your chicken doesn't sizzle like that, I would wait before you put the rest of the pieces in. And I'm going to put my 2 thickest pieces in first. Then I'll go ahead and put the others in. Now again, if you don't have a pan this big, it's okay to do it in 2 batches. Try to get everything to lay flat. And then I'm going to take away this cutting board that has raw chicken on it. I want to get it into the dishwasher as quickly as possible. So while that's starting to heat up, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the cutting board. The chicken is starting to color around the edges. And if you peel it up, you can see it's starting to brown just a touch. I'm going to turn this down just a tiny bit a little closer to medium. And I'm going to go ahead and flip these thinner ones. And the best way to do that is to take this edge that was out near the edge of the pan and flip it to the center. So now this part of the chicken that was on the edge before is now towards the center. So this piece right here, I want to take what's out by the edge and flip it towards the center. I'll go ahead and flip these bigger ones also. There we go. This one I probably should have turned it that way. Now, I've used this with the raw chicken. I'm gonna get rid of this fork and get me a different fork. I'll probably turn the chicken twice more, but I don't want to use this one that was up against the raw chicken, because by the time I turn it next time, it's not gonna be raw. Now I'm going to use 2 of these breasts for chicken sandwiches today. So I'm going to pick 2 of the thinnest ones, and these 2, if I flip them over, they're looking very nice and crispy on both sides. Got a nice brown color to them. These are the 2 I'm going to use for sandwiches today. So I'm going to go ahead and move those over here. Then the rest of these I want cut into chunks, and I want them picking up the flavor that's in this pan here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the stove right now. I'm going to flip over these 2 smaller pieces. And I've got a different cutting surface. You can use a plate if you need to. Just don't use the same cutting board where you were cutting the raw chicken. So I'm going to take this out of here. And I'm also using a different knife. Even though this one looks the same, it is a different knife. I throw these back in here because I want them picking up this brown flavor on the bottom of the pan. And I'm sure you can see that I'm struggling cutting this chicken. Everything is not easy all the time. It's okay if things are a little difficult, but that's why it's fun to cook with somebody else, because when you're having trouble, you can laugh about it. So I'm laughing about it with you guys. This cutting board doesn't want to stay still. My chicken doesn't want to cut through. I'm just laughing.
I got cheap knives.
What?
I got cheap knives.
No, I wouldn't say that. That's my cooking partner over there making jokes with me.
Cheap trick.
Okay, one more. Let's cut them up. This one is just a little bit pink in the center yet. But that's another reason to throw it back in the pan. Now I can just leave these sit here in the pan. The pan's off. And come over and stir them every once in a while if I want to. But we're going to go ahead and eat our chicken sandwiches. I'm going to take 2 pieces of this bread from the middle part of the loaf. And put your piece of chicken on there. Get some tomatoes. Some lettuce. Do you want onion? A little bit? Okay. So yeah, he said it'll take a little onion. Get some lettuce on there. And then whatever condiments you want to put on your sandwich. I like to put Dijon. You can also eat it with no condiments because that lemon pepper gives it so much flavor.